Welcome to the Simplified Marketing Podcast. Straight talking ideas to grow your business.
Hello and welcome to the Simplified Marketing Podcast, the show that aims to help you grow your business. Now, thank you very much if you've been listening before and you've left us a review, but please, you can find us on iTunes. Please do leave us a review, tell us how we're doing. And if there are any topics you'd like us to cover on the show, then please get in touch at marketingsimplified.co.uk. Now, we've been going through the last few weeks and all our experts have given you their top 5 tips right now. We've had Georgia on social media and branding. We've had myself going through websites. So it's only fair that we give our third leg, Andrew, a chance to talk through his top 5 tips if you're a trade at the moment and managing your way through the coronavirus crisis. So Andrew, how are you doing, first of all? Are you keeping sane?
Sane, yeah. Certainly healthy, but sanity was always in question at the beginning before this sort of pandemic began. But yeah, actually I'm all right. And I think speaking to a lot of different people, a lot of different trades out there, the kind of emotional part of it seemed to kind of gone now. Everyone's sort of accepted what's happening, have got into a bit of a routine, whether that's for better or for worse, and are now starting to navigate and negotiate new ways out of it, whether that's new hobbies, new exercise plans, etc. You've seen so many free webinars on offer. I've never been invited to so many things or felt so popular in my whole life. It's crazy. But
George and I were talking about this. Yeah. Georgia and I were talking about this earlier, saying that, I've never felt so supported in my entire life. I've had emails from the CEO of Sainsbury's, CEO from Whole Foods, all these different big people I've never spoken to, but they're there for me, so it's all fine.
I think that was just an individual one for you, John. I mean,
that's so special.
That's really nice that the CEO himself reached out. But no, look, we are seeing a lot of that, and it's funny that a lot of the kind of bigger brands are trying to offer certain things. I mean, I might as well drop it in there. I mentioned at the beginning, I bought myself a new iPad. Didn't even realise, but what they are doing to kind of support new customers or drive sales is 1, offering 0% finance, and 2, throwing Apple TV in for free for a year, which is worth £60 over the course of the year. So there's kind of some deals to be had as well if your cash flow hasn't been affected by what's going on, or you or your partner hasn't been furloughed, for example. Let's say people kind of seem to be over this, the emotional shock of what's happening, the emotional shock of the effects on their business. And now that they've seen that the actual money is coming in from the government, they are getting these payments, these furlough payments, these grants, these loans. To be fair to the government, they're doing what they said they would do. I know it's different speeds and different times, but everyone I've spoken to so far seems to kind of be in a much better position than what they are and have a bit of peace of mind that those payments are coming in.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, so let's start with your tip number 1 right now.
Well, I think if people haven't already, you've got to start with the figures. I mean, everybody's sales, everybody's income would have been affected. So it might be about looking at your P&L, adjusting your overall forecast for the rest of the year, and therefore adjusting your cash flow forecast where payments were coming in. They might not be coming in as quickly as they were. It might be about setting up repayment plans with debtors. It might be about speaking to your suppliers and so on and so forth, and seeing exactly what needs to happen in order that your payments don't fall behind. Probably we're going to stumble here, a lot of people, on tip number 1, simply because many small businesses and specifically trades are kind of got so much money coming in. They're so busy, but don't necessarily have a plan going forward. And this might be something that they do looking back every quarter when they have that conversation with their accountant or bookkeeper and go, oh, you had a really good month or you had a really good quarter. But having an active cash flow forecast and having an active forecast that they can adjust during this period just to see exactly how bad they're going to be affected is essential. So definitely start with the figures first.
So tell us about tip number 2, Andrew.
So moving on, once you know exactly where you're going to be in sort of 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, etc., it's then communication with who you owe money to and who owes money to you. As mentioned, it's people are paying and people are still getting those payments in. So there's plenty of movement because not everyone has been affected. So if it's a case of you're owed £1,000 or you owe £1,000, can you pay £500 now and stagger the rest? Nobody wants to fall out with anyone. We're all in the same boat, so we can use this to our advantage as long as we keep speaking to those guys on the back of exactly what you know you can afford.
I was going to say, this is what people forget, that just because of the current climate, people do think that no one's ready to spend. Well, actually, people are. Some people are still working and still able to get tradesmen to come in and do certain things, right, exterior works, and they've got the time now, and they've got that rainy day fund that they're ready to put into action. And so it's worth remembering that not everyone's in the same situation.
Yeah, it is. And I think that a lot of people are kind of using it as an excuse not to pay as well. The things have happened to them, or this pandemic is going on, and therefore they're sort of holding on to their money, or they're even ordering works during this time and then not paying for it to be done, which obviously is a little bit kind of underhand. So this is where I'm saying, you know, number one, get your figures in check, make sure everything's absolutely fine. Number two, communicate with the people that owe you money. And number three, communicate with people that you owe money to. So, you know, make sure that it's going both ways. You might be in the same position as those guys. You might be in a slightly better position. I know for a lot of the emergency and reactive guys, including myself, you know, I'm now in a position where part of my time is spent coaching, and part of my time I'm able to use my qualification and get out there and still work. So as a flow of business, I'm still using different services, web designers, bookkeepers, and so on, and I'm not paying those guys. So it's essential that communication is going both ways.
So basically, keep on communicating, answer the phone, answer your emails, make sure that people know you're still around, and have the difficult conversations.
Yeah, and it doesn't even feel like a difficult conversation or confrontation at this stage, because there's this sense of, kind of camaraderie, because we're all in this together at the moment. So, you know, if someone's calling you because you owe them money and you're a week behind, people are going to be a lot more understanding to it, and you're going to have better terms to negotiate for yourself and for your business. But moving on to tip number 4 is it's all about communication with the actual clients and your customers. Are you discussing, or depending on how you speak to them and how you work with your database, is there an email series going out? Are you phoning the larger clients? Depending on who you work with, I know a lot of sort of reactive property services, a lot of the agents aren't working, a lot of the short-term letting companies aren't working, but a lot of the private homeowners are working, or a lot of the emergency stuff, gas leaks, water leaks and everything else are there. So if you're still operating, or part of your business is still operating, do your customers even know? And I think, again, there was no communication from a lot of the guys that I know and work with for the first sort of 3 or 4 weeks. And now all of a sudden, and I think you've seen it, John, there's a few companies that are reaching out and sort of saying, look, we need to let them know. And it's like, yeah, we're a little bit behind in this process now. There could have been an opportunity previously, but nevertheless, if you still haven't done it, if you still haven't had the communication so far with the other guys, communicate with your customers 100% is totally necessary, because there could be work just waiting there, sat there.
Well, we're seeing that a lot as well, actually, that people are putting out online, you know, does anybody know a decorator? Does anybody know a plumber? I've called round 5 different companies and they're all closed. But if those people that were still functioning and having team members still out on site were putting that forward, whether, like you said, that was on their emails or their socials or their website, there'd be that work opportunity for them. It's just everyone seems to think many companies aren't trading right now, which isn't the case.
It's not the case. And I think, as I said, as the supply line changes, so originally it was really difficult to get certain parts or boiler parts or even the boilers themselves for replacements. It took 3 or 4 days to come in. Now it's back to next day delivery or same day delivery. Mm-hmm. So slowly everything's starting to turn. I spoke to a window company earlier today, and their manufacturers are opening up. So again, although the work practices have to change, as the supply chain changes and gets back, everyone's starting to go back to work. And as people's confidence returns as well to having tradespeople in the home, it is starting to change as well, 100%.
That does seem, really important, doesn't it? Because it was like that thing, you know, all of a sudden it hits, people are worried, everyone tries to hide away, as, you know, we were told to do by the government, etc. But people still have to work, still have to earn a living. And people still want those services. And I think, actually, Georgia, you mentioned this in one of the previous podcasts, saying you can't just think that your own scenario is the same for everyone else. There are different things going on in different people's minds. I spoke to one guy who installs air conditioning the other day. He had a phone call from various different people who were so desperate to have air conditioning in. They moved out the top floor. He got 2 guys in, they all socially distanced. One guy was inside, fitting the inside units. One guy was outside. No one came into contact, yet they managed to do the job and fit it all properly. in a safe manner as well. So, there are still ways and means of doing all of this.
There is, and I think it goes back to kind of attitudes. A lot of people, when this came, they kind of used it as an excuse to totally shut up shop. And that's not a bad thing if they're using the time effectively. I know a few of the trades guys I spoke to are spending so much time with their family. It's brilliant, and it's really helped put other things into perspective. It's really helped them evaluate, which kind of moves me nicely onto my final sort of tip, reevaluating your vision, goals, and overall strategy. Because if you have done your figures and those figures have changed in tip 1, and you have now negotiated more terms with your incoming and outgoing cash, and then you have spoken to your customers, you're potentially going to be in a completely different position. Could be better, by the way. It's not always worse. But what it may mean, and it can often mean for a lot of other companies, is now they offer different products, new services, or have had to diversify somewhere or adjust their business model to kind of adapt to this type of situation. It might mean that refurbishment companies are now having to do more emergency style works because that's what a key worker is classified. And in order just to get that kind of turnover or profit coming in, they've had to adjust their business model and overall strategy slightly.
That's actually a brilliant point, Andrew, about evaluating, because I know for a number of businesses that this whole situation that we're currently in, they're coming off better in this because there's been opportunities for them. I know I'm surprisingly doing quite well in certain areas of my business that I never would have thought I would have done. But through looking back over the last month or two, especially during the lockdown period, and looking at, wow, I've taken on 4 new clients because I did this differently, it's opened my eyes. Had I not evaluated what I'd been doing and what had been going on, I wouldn't be doing more of what seems to be being received so well by potential new clients. And it's the same with the trades guys, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of the bizarre things and something that's kind of overlooked, because there's a lot of positive that's come out of this. A lot for a lot of different companies, whether they have just had to reshuffle or rechange, or they furloughed a part of their workforce, which has enabled them to focus, again, it's a bit of a cliche now, but focus on the business rather than being caught up in the business all the time. So yeah, we're speaking to so many different people. Don't get me wrong, we're working with a lot of trades which can sort of cross over into key workers. There are some industries that have been devastated by what's going on, and we're not being insensitive to those guys whatsoever. But where we're coming from, the trades niche, 100% absolutely, these guys now are in a position where they're starting to look at their marketing a little bit more seriously. They're starting to look at their branding, their messaging a bit more, starting to adjust their overall vision and what they're going to be doing. And as I said, I've spoken to different refurbishment companies that are now looking at doing more emergency plan works because it's a bit more future-proofing.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Andrew. If you could summarize then your quick 5 points really quickly.
Sure, no worries. Well, number 1 is figures first. Adjust your cash flow, adjust your forecast. Number 2 is, based on that cash flow, communicate with the people that you owe money. Number 3 is contact the people that owe you money and make sure you set up a payment plan with them if they're struggling during this time. Number 4, communication with clients, phone, email, text, WhatsApp, get the message, let them know that you're still working, the services that you currently offer. And number 5, after doing all of those, has your vision, has your overall strategy changed, and have you added new products and services to your overall business plan?
Brilliant. Lots of things to think about there within your own business. Thank you very much, Andrew, for those top tips. Thank you for listening or for watching, whether you're on the podcast or whether you're online at marketingsimplified.co.uk. Don't forget to get in touch. Let us know how you're getting on during the crisis and if there's anything else you'd like us to cover. But for now, thank you very much.
That's all for this time. But don't worry, we'll be back with more soon. Stay tuned for new episodes at marketingsimplified.co.uk.